All right, let's talk about Warlock, the Armageddon. I had seen this movie once before, but I honestly don't even remember it, so it was basically like watching it for the first time. Now, this was directed by Anthony Hickox, who did Hellraiser 3, Waxwork 1 and 2, Sundown, Vampire and Retreat, which is a fucking super cool movie if you haven't checked it out. And those are all movies that have a pretty similar feel to them, similar tone, pretty cheesy, bad delivery of dialogue, hammy special effects, especially visuals, practicals are decent, over the top, but pretty good. And this film is absolutely no exception. I feel like if I was watching this not knowing who directed it, I probably still could have been like, is this the guy who did Hellraiser 3? Because it feels a lot like Hell on Earth, man. Armageddon. There we go. He's got a theme. We also get Norris. These are, some people that we get a little bit in this movie. Not a ton of them, but Norris from The Thing. You got George Buck Flower, and he's not playing like a homeless guy. And you've got Captain Murphy from the Lethal Weapon series. So, and then you get the little guy from Waxwork, which is expected, and the dude from Gremlins and Waxwork as well, Zach. So, which was just a tiny little cameo, but I like when directors use similar people, even if it's only for like a minute. So yeah, let's definitely get into this movie. Oh, the opening's pretty cool. It's just that they constantly keep doing freeze framing. So even though it feels like this big fight between, the druids and whoever these people are, it probably was only like 10 to 15 seconds of footage. And it's just because of all the freeze framing for like 15 seconds with credits rolling over it, it feels like a 3-minute battle. But I mean, still it was okay. The acting from the guy who's says that he found 2 of the stones or whatever. It's in the very beginning. He's just a random guy, but he's like, I saved 2 of the stones. He's talking to the guy on the ground. The acting from that guy is so horrendously awful. The dialogue that he's delivering is so wooden, and it really never gets almost any better from anyone except for Julian Sands. He's not even that great in this movie. He's fine. He's good. He's not as good as he was in the last one. And I just blame that purely on the director. And that just seems to be a theme running through Anthony's films. He just gets really wooden Star Wars prequels, kind of acting out of people. And everyone in this movie is emotionless, except for there's a couple scenes where the main couple are trying to have dramatic scenes and the girl's acting hurt or confused or whatever. And that's really almost the only attempt at actual emotion and in their acting that you see in this film. There's a little bit of anger, there's a little bit of stuff sprinkled in, but for the most part, it's literally someone's, and yes, I did this. It feels like they're reading the script. I almost believe there's cue cards off the screen. It's not the worst acting I've ever seen by far, but man, it's rough. Now, anyway, moving on. I like when the bullies are, bullying that, the main kid. The sprinklers come on and they just disappear. They are out of there, man. Bullies hate sprinklers. Remember that next time you're getting bullied. That was ridiculous. So many ridiculous things in this movie. I'm glad that this film didn't try to bring back the previous, 2 protagonists from the last entry. I'm glad that it was just done for them. I feel like resurrecting that dude and then bringing that girl back again would have cheapened the ending of that last one, like that was their send-off. I liked that goodbye. I was glad to not see them have any interactions. Now, as far as this film is concerned, what connections it has to the first, I don't see any at all, and I'm not even sure that Julian Sands is playing the same character. I just think he's like the son of Satan in this, so he's not even really the Warlock. He says he is, but it doesn't seem to be the same character. I mean, it might be. Maybe he had the same name. I don't even remember what his name was in the last one or this one. They say it. It's just so quick that I miss it. But that was a little surprising, but it makes sense. I mean, he's completely reborn. He's absolutely like annihilated in the last one. In this one too. Both of those deaths were really cool. This film has not a lot, but a decent amount of good practical effects. And his death looked really cool. Now, on the flip side of that, though, the visual effects in this are horrible. Just horrible. Like, there's no way it looked good then. Like, you can watch movies from once, upon a time where you remember going into the movie theater and being like, man, I remember these being incredible at the time, and now they just look dated. There's no way this ever looked good. There's no way anyone was like, whoa, how'd they do that? Like, it looks bad. Like, there's scenes where they're like sprinkling their, healing potion magic stuff, and it looks like it's out of like a Santa Claus movie or like a Tinkerbell movie where it's like animated fairy dust and there's it's so bad. It is laughable the entire time. You can't help but sit there and just like, wow, that's a bad decision. They probably should have they could have come up with almost anything else and just done that, but fuck, man. I kill a couple cute little animals, and there's a bunny and a little dog, and I was like, come on, man. Like, I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't know what it is. I know there's people out there that don't really have a problem with it, but for the most part, I feel like people agree with me. Like, animal death in the films, especially when it's just mean, is not cool. Like, I am not a fan. I can watch people die and get slaughtered all day, and I'm yawning the whole time, but little dog gets killed or something, and I'm like, why? Why'd you have to do it? This one just more was, made me kind of angry. Or not, and like I was sitting there like raging or anything, but I was just like, really? You didn't need to do that. Come on, man. I guess it's just supposed to show us how evil he really is. But that opening one where this is a scene I want to talk about as well, so let's get into that. This girl's just setting dinner. She's sitting, she's ready to, I don't know, she's waiting for a date, I think. And then here comes the eclipse, and she fucking just starts, showing and having a baby. Her stomach gets all big, and then that's like seriously one of the fucking funniest ways. I had someone in my comments in the last one say like, I love the way that he's brought into this movie. And I was kind of waiting for her, like, oh, is it going to be cool? Is it, so it's kind of one of those things I was anticipating while watching this. Like, how is he brought into this movie? And man, that person, the commenter, I wish I knew their name. I should have wrote it down, sorry. But they were fucking absolutely right. Like, this was hilarious. This was such a great way to bring his character into it. Just a full-grown man. He comes out and he's covered in shit. The dog comes up and tries to lick his little pod thing that he's like, he looks like a little Jason creature in the first, or in Friday the 13th, Jason Gozell was just talking about, and then it like morphs and it becomes like a thing looking creature, and it like kills the dog and throws him around and smashes him. That was awful. But he comes out of it and he's all naked chasing her around the house, and it was a really cool scene. I liked that a lot. As I said, I really like Julian Sands in this. I really like the practical effects, and I really liked a lot. I'll get into other things I like here. One of them being the skin map. When he takes the, her belly off, which you see where he came out of, and the blood just keeps, she has to keep like replenishing the blood on the map for it to bring him. It's a pretty shitty map though. Like, it doesn't show him any highways. I mean, he's new to this world. How does he even know where to go? Is it directing itself? Like, I don't get it. And it branches off like 6 different ways, but keeps going straight. It's like, why doesn't it just make a straight path? Why does it branch off at every little intersection? It's weird. I also really like the dead cab driver. I thought that was funny. I wish they would have made that more of a thing. Like, he had a dead cabbie driving him around. It would have been pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of like Halloween Town with like the skeleton driver or whatever. Obviously a little more R-rated than that, but it would have been cool if they would have played up the cabbie thing more and he would have been his chauffeur throughout the film. I was kind of bummed that he went and grabbed a new car and was driving by himself from there. It would have been cool for like him to pick up those girls in the car and then they look in the front and the guy's dead. It was kind of a missed opportunity in my mind, but I still liked that he drove him around a little bit. I also liked that the symbol kept appearing everywhere. I thought that was a cool little touch, just yet again kind of adding to the Warlock mythology from the first one. The scene where the dad and his friends come up and just blow his son away without saying shit to him made me laugh, because in the way it's shot, it does like this camera follows the kid up in the air and then he comes down. It's such a cheesy, fucking terrible shot. But I like it in this movie because it fits the movie. And they do it a couple times throughout. But it's just like they blow him away. They bring him back to life, unprepared as all hell. And then he comes away out of it having only, I mean, he's like, don't shoot. Like, he's living from that moment. So it's basically 1 second later to him as his dad blows him away with a shotgun. And then they're just like, can't figure out why he's freaking out. They're like, calm down, calm down. He's just like, no, get away. I'm just sitting there like, really? You don't think that he would be scared of you or confused, or like, you're not like, listen, I'm so sorry I had to do that. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm so like, no, it's just like, all right, calm down. Come on, you fucking pussy. Like, I just shot you with a shotgun. It's not a big deal. And why didn't they prepare him for this? Like, why wasn't he told? Did they just think he wasn't gonna have to do this? And then when it happened, they were like, ah, shit, it is gonna have to happen. Like, guys, it's time. They could have came up, they could have said something. But I guess maybe he would have rejected. They didn't have the time. And also, we get probably the shortest montage I've ever seen for a training, scene ever. I mean, Rocky movies, that's like half the film. This, or, Karate Kid, or so many montages where people are like learning how to, best their villain, the main antagonist. This is seriously like 15 seconds long. And they're just kind of like, all right, you're pretty much ready. I'm just like, and there's a lot of like Empire Strikes Back stuff going on in here. Like, the music sounds very, very similar to some of the music in Star Wars. And the scene where he's training him how to do that is kind of like a Yoda Luke Dagobah sitch. I know I said that in a couple of videos before, like one video I think before. And as I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt, you are going to connect everything to Star Wars. No, I'm not. This really did. There was themes where it was like, it very much sounded like that. It looked like that as well. Anyway, so I love how in movies, the scene where he goes to the girl with the runway models and he wants to get the first stone from her. In movies like Superman, the Christopher Reeves ones and a few others. But when they take someone's hand and they lift them up to fly, they then seem to make that person weightless with them. It always makes me laugh because I'm sitting there like, they would just be hanging from your hand. They would not just be floating next to you as you hold to their hand. Even if you had the strength to lift them like that, their wrist would, or their arm would break. I'm guessing it's silly, I know, but it always makes me laugh every time I see it. I'm like, they'd be hanging from your hand. All the weight of their body would still be there. The scene where he gets the car from the guy after the cabbie's gone. I guess he's just not able to drive anymore, and he takes that fast car from the dude. And they perform that little voodoo doll kind of curse on him, and he's just like squirting blood, black blood all over the guy. The guy's commentary while he's trying to help him is hilarious. You're squirting blood all over the place, man. Oh man, what's going on? I just listen to it. It's hilarious. It is. And I think this film, I mean, you're not supposed to take this film too seriously, but they do play it pretty serious. And that's where I feel like this film and a lot of his other films are hard to digest, because it doesn't seem like they can pick a tone. It's like, is this film trying to be goofy and silly and fun and playful and over the top? Or is it trying to be like, am I trying to take this like a serious story? Because it really tries to play both, but more the serious. So when they throw in scenes like this, I'm just kind of like, I can't take this movie seriously if you're gonna do shit like this. So I think that was another problem I had with the movie. I do like the way that the Warlock does away with everyone in this movie. One of my favorites, or if not my favorite one in this, is how he takes the guy who's working at like the carnival or whatever, and he like traps him behind the mirror, and when he looks back, it's like this evil, weird, alternate universe carnival nightmare inside there. It was only like 10 seconds long, but that was probably my favorite shot of the whole movie. It just seemed creepy and eerie, and it worked. It was I wish they would have spent a little more time in there. To have such a cool little set that they built. Maybe it was a miniature, I don't know. But it looked really cool. And I was kind of bummed that when they pulled out of it, we didn't see it again. It was so short-lived. I like that, there's kind of like some plague stuff happening in here. You got the birds coming down. You got the raining blood. You got stuff like that. So if it's called Armageddon, it's nice to hear that there's some, some of the signs. I like the kills. I mean, as I said, I like every way he kills pretty much everyone he takes a stone from. And maybe my second favorite is the art dealer that he turns into like a Picasso, and he's still like blinking when he's this small, and he's like adjusting his face. Well, I thought that was really cool too. Very much felt like Hellraiser 3 again. Which that movie isn't very good, but I definitely will be doing the Hellraiser series. I'm dreading it because I only like a couple, but it'll be fun to revisit them. Another person that he kills is one of the buddies, and they're in the elevator together, and he's about to kill him. The guy goes for the Warlock, and then they cut away, and they come back, and the entire elevator is completely covered in blood. Body parts are like dangling from the ceiling and whatnot, and the Warlock has not one single drip on his body. It was funny. It looked pretty freaking hilarious. I like that the stones have to be given to him, that he can't just go and take them. And I like how he either tricks people into giving to him, forces them to, whatever, but they have to willingly give it to him. I mean, he kind of cheated on the last one, though. He like cut the guy's arms off, and his arms like let go of it naturally. So I feel like that's forcibly taking it. But who knows? Maybe he gave it to him and then he cut his arms off. We don't really get to see him do it. He just comes back and his arms are off. But I was like, that's kind of cheating. And I don't understand, like, why is he hurt by the light in this scene at the end, but not throughout the rest of the film? Like, he's walking around in the daylight during some of this movie and he's fine. So is it only while he's trying to bring Satan back and start Armageddon? Am I missing this wrong? Did I see this wrong? Was he completely covered? And I don't remember that. I thought he was out in the sun for a decent, for a few scenes. I thought he was out in the day, but I guess I could be wrong. He was fighting the guy out in the street in the day before they even did theirs. So that one for sure. So I guess it's only during that. Whatever. Nitpick, but it's still kind of like the way you defeat him didn't affect him through the rest of the movie. So it only affected maybe like it was hurting the devil, and that was like shining onto him and hurting him. Like, I don't know. It's, as I said, it's not really worth considering. This movie's silly, but definitely worth mentioning. And I think that's it. Yes. So I like that he throws the little guy into the Iron Maiden. That was evil. So he kills like 3 little cute innocent things in this movie. Anyway, I have the third one, End of Innocence or whatever, queued up on the TV, so I'm going to go get to that. So I will be right back.